Another high-stakes ballot taking place in Europe this week is the UK general election. Voting is Thursday, and opinion polls suggest Britain is headed for its first change of government in 14 years. The economy, immigration and health have dominated campaigning so far. Environmental activists say green issues have not been prominent enough. Olly Barratt reports from London.
Taking green issues door to door, this election campaign has been on the to-do list of almost all of the competing political parties. But it hasn't been a dominant theme in Britain's 2024 polls.
It is very concerning how little climate has come up in this general election so far, given that the decisions the UK government makes over the next 5 years will be absolutely pivotal in the direction the UK takes and whether we manage to decarbonise, not only whether we manage to meet our targets in terms of dates, but if we manage to do it in a way that also makes this country fairer.
Hundreds of UK-based scientists and academics signed a letter urging all parties to make ambitious pledges on climate action, warning that a failure to act would make the UK and the rest of the world more dangerous and insecure. Dr. Alex Dietzel was one of those scientists, and she rejects the idea that green policies should take on a lower priority when money is tight.
You can always say things are unaffordable if you're putting the money elsewhere. I think it's more unaffordable to not be ambitious, because long term it's going to affect GDP across the world, including in the UK, and it's going to make us poorer overall.
The leading parties' approaches to climate change and environmental protection vary. The centrepiece of the Labour Party's renewables policy is a new publicly owned Great British energy company to invest in clean energy sources. The Conservatives are pledging to treble offshore wind capacity and fast-track small nuclear power stations. Both Labour and the Conservatives say they can still hit the UK's current target of net zero by 2050. The Liberal Democrats want to get there by 2045 and say more urgent action is needed. The Greens want to reach it by 2040 at the latest and say they would spend $50 billion a year to do so. And the polls suggest the environment is one of the top concerns of voters at this election.
I've moved from voting Labour to voting Green Party because I think that the environment's a really important policy that we need to be thinking of when voting.
Obviously it's a rising issue, more and more exposure with rising sea waters and temperatures rising in the world, and definitely stuff needs to be done more and more about it. And I feel like we're not really doing enough as evidence prevails.
The question is always where do the funds come from to support it? So you've got on the one extreme you've got the Green Party, understandably, is making a lot of promises and expectations, but it comes with a very, very high cost.
The issue of costs to consumers is why the governing Conservatives announced last year they would push a ban on the sale of new petrol and diesel cars back from 2030 to 2035, without, they claim, needing to miss net zero targets. Labour and the Liberal Democrats say they would bring that date forward again to 2030. So there are differing climate plans on offer at this election for voters to choose between. But for those who wanted green policies to be the #1 issue on the campaign trail, it's been an uphill struggle. Olly Barratt, CNA, London.